Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is November 18th, 2025, and Bitcoin has hit its first downside target. Also, our expanded flat correction has been invalidated, officially invalidated. What does this all mean? What does this mean for altcoins? What does this mean for Bitcoin moving forward? All of that and more in this episode. Also, let me tell you that I'm having a Black Friday special that's starting today, and it's going to go up until Black Friday or until spots fill up. I don't want to make the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation group too big. And the Black Friday deal is specifically for the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, where you can trade one-on-one with me up to 5 assets, sort of continuous access through email, 2 hour video conferences per month, all that stuff. The details of all of that are in the pinned comment below. So if you're interested, act soon. I'm basically offering 6 months for $997, where the original price is $1,500 because the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service is $250 per month. So it's a deal where instead of you're paying 6 months regular price, you're paying a special $997 deal. It's similar to a deal I gave some months ago. Similar, but not exactly the same. Different time span. All right, anyway, let's get on with Bitcoin and altcoins and see what happened. So yesterday, we officially invalidated my trade thesis of Bitcoin putting in an expanded flat over here, okay? And you guys will know that for the longest time, I said, whatever happened on the 10th of October, right? We put in an initial recovery, initial break of structure, an A wave, right? I was saying that this was likely a B wave and we're going to get a C wave or a retest of the $116,000 level. Okay, and that was officially invalidated. And when I say officially invalidated, I'm pretty much talking math, right? When you measure this purported B wave, or sorry, when you measure this purported A wave, and you take Fibonacci and you take the Fibonacci retracement level, you can see that as soon as we broke down from around 94,400 thereabouts, we officially invalidated this being a B wave. This can no longer be a B wave. This has to be an impulse unto itself. Okay, it's quite straightforward. It doesn't happen though mathematically until that B wave comes to the 1618 Fibonacci retracement or greater. And let me just put it in case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about. So basically you take your Fibonacci retracement tool from the bottom here all the way to the top of your purported A wave, your initial break of structure, and you can see here the invalidation of our purported B wave was at $94,313 right here. Okay, so once that happened, it was over for that thesis. Okay, and putting everything into perspective, that was a small time frame thesis for how Bitcoin was going to look and matriculate and then move and continue to the downside. The higher time frame thesis has not changed. Understand that the higher time frame thesis, even when people were, writing me emails, making jokes at my expense, ha ha ha, Bitcoin's going to go to the moon, right? We were in this range for 100+ days, right? For over 6 months. People were saying, okay, it's very clear that Bitcoin's going to make not only all-time highs, but, if you didn't buy, you're going to be left behind. People were buying Bitcoin in a frenzy and saying that the market's so bullish. And I was saying, no, it's actually as bearish as it's ever been. And I would be very cautious buying Bitcoin at this level, because it's very highly likely that we retest these important levels of support around between 55 and 60K. I've been saying that for a year plus on this channel. Okay? I've been saying that for a very long time, consistently. Now, between then, when I first started saying that, and now, I've been trying to track how we were going to break down, how we were going to make our way down to 55 to 60K. And this B wave, this corrective pattern that I missed on was part of that. Okay? That was a miss. That was a complete miss. It was a miss, and I look back on it and I do, my customary autopsy on my call and see, okay, would I have called that, or where did I mistakenly, attribute this to that or that to this? I probably would have made the same call today, because I remember one of you in the comment said, hey, couldn't this just be a completed flat correction? I said, no, it doesn't look the part. It doesn't look at all the part. And I would still say that today. And the only thing I would tell myself now, what do I gain from this experience? And this is important. This is a very, very important exercise, because any trader that tells you they know everything and have seen everything and says it literally is lying. You never have seen everything, and there's always something to learn. And so I feel it's important and useful to espouse a type of mentality that, okay, if I miss something, where did I go wrong? What can I learn from it? And so what I can learn from this, I've thought about it all morning, is corrective patterns, as you know, are unpredictable. They're messy, especially B waves. They're super messy. And now I'm underlining that. They're super messy, and don't expect anything clean from them. And also keep in mind that sometimes they won't even look like they're supposed to look like. There's no supposed to look like. So here I'm looking at this flat correction, right? This is my A wave for sure. This is my initial break. There's no question about that. Now this has to be my B wave right here. That has to be my B wave. And look, do you see that? A, B, C. That's my completed B wave. And I think one of you said, and I said, no. One of you said, hey, I think that was the C wave. Couldn't that have been the C wave? I'm like, unlikely. I don't think so. And I would still say Dean that said unlikely was, speaking facts. I mean, that is unlikely. It just doesn't look the part. All this looks like a continuous B wave. But lo and behold, he was correct, or she was correct. That's my B wave. This is my A wave. This is clearly my compound B wave. That's my C wave. And here, what do you see? You see the rare running flat. When do you get running flats? You get running flats in extreme markets where there's really a lot of buy or sell pressure. And in this case, there's a lot of sell pressure. Okay? So here you got a running flat as a B wave. It basically looks like this. A, B, C. You got this running flat. And the sell pressure is so strong from Bitcoin being in this. Let's see. Sorry, 1 second. Bitcoin being in this distribution pattern, this Wyckoff distribution pattern, since December of 24 until present day. Okay, that's a year straight in distribution. Okay, a year straight in distribution. So it's no wonder towards the end of the distribution pattern, the UTAD, upthrust after distribution, which I believe this is. If you look at Wyckoff distribution charts, this I believe is the upthrust after distribution. It's no wonder you get such an extreme example of a B wave in this context. That's really tough. I'm not going to beat myself up on that. What I sort of So the take home is always this: make the high time frame read, make the high time frame analysis, make your bets on that. The smaller time frame, like how that's going to happen, you know, make your best guesses. But if it's wrong, it's wrong. But that is it. I told you, don't tell me I didn't tell you. I'm super bearish on Bitcoin. Whatever you do on Bitcoin here, be very careful because it's super bearish. It's super bearish. It's super bearish. I've been saying that. So for anybody saying, well, I really expected that 116K target, I've been saying it's super bearish, and I've been saying I would not bet on it. Okay, these are basically, trade theses that I'm seeing based off of my best understanding of what I see on the charts. But Bitcoin is super bearish, and it's been bearish for quite some time. And this tells you that, right? What you did on the 10th is an initial kind of shot across the bow. Hey, we're really bearish. And you see that running flat, more bearishness, and then continuation. Now, I started the video saying that Bitcoin hit our first downside target. This is not new. This Elliott wave impulse right here, I put in some time ago. And I've been saying that my first target for wave 1 was no question going to be 90K. And I said 90K for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that 90K was the midline of our 100-day channel. So the channel that Bitcoin had been in this blue box for approximately 100 days, that was the midline. And remember, the midline is one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of any channel. It's support when you're above it, resistance when you're below it. Doesn't just because we're out of the channel doesn't mean that midline still doesn't have those orders in, and those orders create a temporary bounce, a temporary buying pressure if hit from the top. So this is exactly what we're seeing now. We hit that midline, and so we should expect a bounce. The second reason I said it was because, actually there were three reasons. The second reason I said it was because if you start coming down from this upthrust after distribution, this head and shoulders pattern, you do have to retest the bottom of that smaller channel right here as resistance, right? Because you were in this smaller channel. Again, this is basic channel trading. You were trading in this channel. You lost the channel. You retested. Remember, again, look, it always is the case. This is why this is a principle, and it's not like something that you see once or twice. You came from the top, you retest the midline, you lost the channel at the midline, you lost it. Now you come back all the way to the bottom of the channel, retesting the bottom as resistance. You have to do it. This is why 90K was my target, and it had been my target for a while, and this is why I'm saying it's our first target to the downside. Because when I say to the downside, I'm envisioning Bitcoin continuing its matriculation in this impulse down to our final target of 55 to 60K. And then the third reason was the liquidity charts. I think there was a ton of liquidity in the liquidation heat map super charts. Yeah, so that is the analysis for Bitcoin. You're at 90K, and now that we see more clearly, given what's happened, we know that, okay, this was our B wave, and we started our impulse around end of October, so the 28th of October, which means for 21 days we've been in impulse. All of this has been impulse. And so what do we know about impulse? We know that's one of the only times we can time the market really accurately. I can tell you with a high degree of accuracy that because we've seen an impulse, an initial impulse down in Bitcoin for the past 21 days, I can tell you the next 21 days are going to be a 3-wave pattern that come right back up to around 105K, because 105K represents the phi ratio, right? The 0.618 of this impulse down, which is wave 1, and 105K represents the bottom of this channel that was lost, this head and shoulders bearish reversal pattern that was lost. Now that has to be retested as resistance, lost support, right? So you had since July support in Bitcoin, right, for 112 days here. You lost that. Now you retest it as support. Okay? So that I can tell you. Next 21 days, again, not a straight line affair. It's a 3-wave move because it's a corrective pattern. This is the impulse, and then this is the correction. Okay, the correction is going to be in a pattern or flavor of 3. It's going to be something like that. It's going to find its way down or up to around 105 for the reasons I just stated, and it's going to take approximately 21 days. This is what we know with a high degree of probability, given the fact that this is very likely a completed wave 1, which is now bouncing at the expected level of termination for wave 1. All right, so that's Bitcoin's analysis. Also, now segueing into altcoins, if Bitcoin is going to give you a corrective pattern up, from where it's at right now to 105, and it's going to take 21 days, that means Bitcoin's going to trend up more or less for 21 days. If you can expect Bitcoin to trend up for 21 days in altcoin season, which it is, as very, very clearly seen on Bitcoin dominance's chart, you can see that right here. You've been trending down in Bitcoin dominance. Yeah? Let me clean this up. This is a 4-hourly time frame. It's November 18th. Since November 4th, you've been down in a trend. Not in correction, in a trend, a legitimate trend. Down, 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 down. This is likely to continue. Bitcoin dominance, remember, when it trends down, that's alt season. We're not talking about a move down, a correction down. We're talking about trends. When Bitcoin dominance, I'm going to say it again, trends down, that's alt season. What does that mean? It's not just a term, and it sounds like just a word that doesn't have much meaning behind it given the recent price action. But alt season is when Bitcoin trends up, or Bitcoin has upwards potential, and altcoins fly. That's alt season. That's altcoin dominance. Altcoin dominance can be seen very clearly when Bitcoin dominance is going down. That is a huge point, and it goes back to our original thesis that there's going to be a point in time before Bitcoin makes a big move down that altcoins are going to fly. And remember, I just showed you that altcoins since November 4th have been trending down, meaning even since Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin has been down impulsively for 21 days, altcoins have not bore the brunt of that impulse. Again, even though Bitcoin has been down in an impulse for 21 days since the 4th of November, altcoins have not died, which they would have in Bitcoin season. I just want to get people to understand how you can, with a high degree of probability, understand what alt season means without seeing your favorite altcoin fly 500% because you were scared and you didn't get in. You can see it already now. In Bitcoin season, Bitcoin going down for 21 straight days means altcoins are dead. What did you see let's go on the 4 hourly time frame, compare apples to apples. You saw the past 21 days since November 4th, altcoins go up and down, and they didn't even make a lower low. Again, for the past 21 days, Bitcoin has been going down. Altcoins have been going up. I'm not making this up, and that is not hyperbole. You can see it on the charts. For people who say, look at the charts. That's the whole reason I do chart analysis and not like, I think, I feel. No, that is clear as day. Go look for yourself. Since November 4th, Bitcoin has been in a trend down. For 21 days, we've gone down, 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 down. Ever since 116K all the way down to where we are now at 90K. What have altcoins done, right? Judging by this other chart. And when I say altcoins, I'm speaking generally. I'm referring to altcoins in general. That doesn't mean every altcoin. That means most altcoins, and specifically the bullish altcoins. It's up to you to figure out what the bullish altcoins are, because there are a lot of altcoins that are not bullish that people swear are bullish, but they're very clearly not bullish. Very important to discern. Now you can see they went up, came back down, but didn't even make a lower low. This is alt season type of stuff. That should impress you more than some altcoin just flying. That's cool, but this is even cooler because why is this cooler? This is what comes before the altcoins fly. Because once they start flying, they're gone. You have to be very careful before getting in because you don't want to chase pumps. You don't want to be sloppy. You want to find out what's happening beforehand to the best of your ability, position yourself accordingly, then enjoy the move. It's right there for you. So, in answer to my question that was posed in the teaser in the beginning of the episode, Bitcoin has hit the first downside target. It's at 90K. Oh no, 116 is no longer in play until we get down to 50 to 55 or 50 to 60K, right? Until we get down to those levels, I don't see Bitcoin breaking the next, level of resistance, which is right now at 105K. That's bad news if you're bullish on Bitcoin, but you shouldn't be bullish on Bitcoin if you've, not been sleeping under a rock. Bitcoin's always been tenuous and dangerous at best. It's been dangerous for a year plus in this distribution, right? In this Wyckoff distribution. But altcoins, not all altcoins, but many altcoins are actually on the other side of things. They're at the lows. And when you see something like this, despite what Bitcoin's been doing, despite how bearish it's been, and it's been extremely bearish, those altcoins that are bullish are extremely bullish. So that's the analysis. And to finalize kind of this idea, I'm going to touch on the Black Friday deal because it's important. Obviously, it's, how I earn a living, but also I think it helps. Because you have to be able to figure out which altcoins are worth your investing in. Everything's going to go up during the alt season. It's a question of how and how much. Even some bearish altcoins are going to fly up, but they might fly right back down or make lower lows. The bullish ones will do something like this. They're going to go up and they're going to come down, but never retrace more than 62% of what they went up. You'll never see them back where you started. And then they're going to keep doing that for a couple years or a few years. You want to get into those, okay? And that's, I think, a big part of what I do with crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. Obviously, I do that as well with single asset analysis, but given the format of single asset analysis, I'm not able to track to continually track the asset and fine-tune targets and do all of that stuff. Because, given more data, sometimes I change my mind, my analysis changes when things get more clear on the chart. So The crypto portfolio mentorship consultation service is basically my helping clients choose first and foremost which assets are bullish and which assets are not. And by bullish, I mean those assets that are going to continue to gain, to those assets that are going to give sustained gains during this alt season, during this bull run, that they're ready, they're primed and ready to make that pure impulsive move where you don't have to worry that they retrace, over themselves. The ones that, even if they have upside potential, if they're not in pure impulse, if you miss the upside target, you may be victim to a swing failure pattern where they make lower lows and then they're still in correction. Okay, that's a really, really important point. And there's a lot of altcoins that people swear are as bullish as ever, maybe because of their name, their reputation, or whatever, that are extremely bearish and may not even be bullish during this alt season run. They'll probably just consolidate, go up and down in a channel, in a large channel, lasting many, many years. Okay, so that, I think, in my estimation, is a big part of what I do in crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. The other part I think is also useful, but we haven't yet seen, is my spying high probability levels of resistance and support so you can snowball profit. So, instead of, guesstimating and dollar cost averaging your whole life, if you see a very high probability level, taking profit, selling, and then buying back, a large portion of your profits and your principal back on support. And then doing that every single time you see high probability level resistance and support. Doesn't mean that there's always one, but when you can spy one, I call it and I mark it and I send it to clients. And then also risk management. Crypto is, I would always say, I still do say, it's fraught with thieves and brigands, and it's just very risky, but it's probably the safest and most democratic and the most fair of all the markets, right? And that's saying a lot because I know how scammy crypto can be, but still you have to be careful. And there's a lot of things in my years of trading and just being in this market that I've seen, things that you do when you're trading small sums, large sums, to protect your capital, ways you trade to protect your capital, ways you balance a portfolio, ways you different exchanges that you trade on, and some that you don't, and how you split your gains and all that stuff, just so that you don't make a bunch of money and then lose it in a scam. There's a reason I don't have a Discord. People always say, why don't you have a Discord? There's a reason I don't have a Discord. That's all I'll say. Anyway, that's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. For Black Friday, I'm having a deal. I probably won't have this deal again. Last time I had a deal this was many months ago. But this time it's going to be $9.97 for 6 months, where the original price is $250. So 6 months of the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation would be $1,500. And if you're interested, I would say act now. I'm going to end the deal for sure on at the end of Black Friday, so next Friday. But I will also end it earlier if I get enough signups where I feel like I have enough and I don't really necessarily want to have any more clients, because I do spend time with some of you. I spend a lot of time with, and I just don't want to spread myself too thin, because I want it to be worthwhile, and I don't want to be spread too thin. So the way you can take advantage of this is make the payment, the $9.97, through any of the payment methods that I have listed in the pinned comment, and then email me and tell me that you did it, and I will send you an invite for 6 months. That's it. All right. As always, like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Good luck. I think this move is going to happen soon in altcoins. And that's it. Take care. Bye.
I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages, which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I